The Russian Revolution of 1917 was one of the most political events of the 20th century when the peasants and working class revolted against the government of Tsar. They were led by Vladimir Lenin and a group of revolutionaries called the Bolsheviks. The new communist government had created the country of USSR. Before that, Russia was ruled by a very powerful monarch called the Tsar. In Russia, monarch had whole power and even he controlled and commanded the army. Monarch had also controlled the church. He had owned many of the lands. Before the Russian Revolution, the working class and peasants was very hard life. They received very little amount of money for working during long hours. Often they went to sleep with an empty stomach. Poverty level and misery were extremely high. The elite class treated the peasants and working class like slaves. A large number of workers were marching to the Tsar's place in order to present a petition for better and healthy working place. Cause the workers worked in dangerous places, they were fired often by soldiers and many of them were killed and injured. This day is known as Bloody Monday in Russian history. Sunday, many peasants and working class people revolted the Tsar and thought that he was on their side. However, they blamed their troubles on the government, not the Tsar. However, the Tsar was perceived as an enemy of the working class and the desire for revolution began to spread. World War I began and Russia was at war with Germany. A large number of Russian army formed by forcing working class and peasant men to join. Although the Russian army had great numbers, but the soldiers were not equipped or trained to fight, even though many of them were sent to the battlefield without food, shoe, and weapons. More than 2 million Russian soldiers were killed in the battlefield and nearly 5 million were wounded. The Russian people criticized the Tsar for entering the war and getting so many of their young men killed. In early 1917, the Russian Revolution began when a large number of workers decided to strike. Many of these workers got together during the strike, and many of these workers got together to discuss politics. Eventually, they began to riot. The Tsar Nicholas II ordered the army to suppress the riot. However, most of the soldiers refused to fire on Russian people, and the army revolted against the Tsar. The Tsar was forced to give up his throne and new government took over. The new government was run by two political parties, basically the Petrograd Soviet representing the workers and soldiers, the provincial governments, the government without Tsar. Petrograd Soviet was a group called the Bolshevik. They were led by Vladimir Lenin and believed that a new government should be a Marxist communist government. In October 1917, Lenin took full control of the government in what is called the Bolshevik Revolution. Russia became now world's first communist country. After the Bolshevik Revolution, Russia exited World War I by signing a peace treaty with Germany called the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. The new government took control of all industry and moved the Russian economy from a rural one to the industrial one. The government also seized farmland and from landholders and distributed among the peasants. Women were given equal rights to those men. From 1918 to 1920, Russia experienced a civil war between the Bolshevik and the anti-Bolshevik. Bolshevik won and the new country called the USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic. The main leaders of the Bolshevik were Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin and Leon Trotsky. After Lenin died in 1924, Stalin consolidated power and Trotsky out. The Tsar Nicholas II and his family were executed by the Bolshevik on July 17, 1918.